Start with a big smile.
So, okay, so kind of in summary of what we've talked about so far, Martha, in the chat log, I've been typing a few things that you have said about the dedicated genealogy room at the Omaha Public Library. You mentioned the obituary cabinets organized by surname with obituaries on the card, collection of funeral pamphlets that is being indexed by the Greater Omaha Genealogical Society. Genealogy books run the gamut. Your collection includes the entire US and Europe. Follow the Paper Trail was a book that you mentioned.
Not entire Europe.
Not the entire Europe, okay. You mentioned Italian Records by Trafford Cole, which is also on my bookshelf.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Let's see, what else did you say? Nebraska reference closed stack area. And when I asked what was contained in there, you said county histories, town histories, biographies, city budgets, city council documents, railroad books. I was particularly piqued by books about the railroad because a lot of our ancestors came here and worked.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So to the extent that you could follow up with any kind of bibliography related to the railroad or to of course Italian. You mentioned several papers that you had, books and theses, and it'd be nice to have a
I could send you a list
bibliography of those. And then let's see, what else do we have here? Ethnic histories, including thesis papers, city directories. And for those of you who aren't doing city directory research, you're really missing the boat. And especially if you can go look at the actual city directory rather than having to do it digitally. I mean, you can do it online, but being able to page through a printed city directory is much easier.
Right. Yeah. We've got all the Omaha city directories beginning in 1866.
Wow.
And up to current. And we've also got a pretty good run of Council Bluff, Lincoln, some Beatrice, Sarpy County, Nebraska City randomly.
When you talk about the city directory, do you mean like registers? Is that a synonym of registers?
It's a directory. It's like, we also have phone books, by the way. Phone books that list people and their phone numbers and their addresses and business and have a classified business. So we've got the phone books. The city directories are, for some purposes, even better because they'll list, they give the name of the person. Sometimes they'll list the spouse, depending what year you're talking about. In later ones, it'll say whether they own the property or not.
And you have even a digital version of that. Otherwise, I mean, I guess Nick is opening. Okay, directory. Ancestry.com
has digitized a lot of city directories for states. I think most of US states.
Going back to the 1866, you said, right?
Yes. So I checked the Ancestry. They've got what we have up to 1959. After that, that's as far as they go.
Okay. I translate in English, in Italian this part. Allora Silvana, stavo chiedendo, siccome mentre li sentivo parlare che all'interno della biblioteca di Omaha c'è questa stanza dedicata alla genealogia, allora non ho capito questa parola directory, city directory, e ho chiesto che cosa fossero, se fossero dei registri. Allora Martha stava dicendo che sono ancora meglio dei registri nostri, perché c'è scritto nome e cognome, nomi dei genitori e anche le professioni. Quindi sono molto più dettagliati e cominciano dal 1866 fino al 1959. You said 1959, Martha?
Yeah, the ancestry goes up to 19.
Io volevo chiedere una cosa, Martha. Cioè, in effetti perché esistono dal 1866 e precedentemente non c'erano immigrazioni ad Omaha? Perché questa cosa a me interessa per un altro motivo, perché ho un interesse per quanto riguarda l'unità d'Italia.
Ok, so
dicono che dopo l'unità d'Italia avvennero tutte le immigrazioni, quindi il fatto che lei mi parla del 1866 già mi dà un'indicazione in questo senso.
Okay. Silvana is wondering, why is there nothing before 1866? Because, as you know, unification of Italy was 1861. Are those events strictly related?
No, well, I mean, Nebraska, there wasn't a lot here. I mean, Omaha has only existed since, and I should have looked this up, but around 1850 something. There were already people here, but they weren't very organized yet. I mean, there wasn't necessarily a publishing house or for in most cases, most cities, unless they're very old. I think Philadelphia is probably one of the cities that has the earliest city.
Yeah, you're right.
1798 or something, but they, you know,
because Silvana was wondering, maybe there weren't emigrated before 1866.
I think there probably were some. I mean, there were people here.
Yeah, all the people who arrived in United States, besides the natives, are all immigrants, starting from the first Irish and the first Italians. Yeah. Allora, partendo dal presupposto che, dato che l'America è stata scoperta la versione ufficiale nel 1492, a partire dagli italiani, gli irlandesi, poi gli scozzesi, gli inglesi, tutte le nazioni che poi sono arrivate sono tutti immigrati, perché prima di quella data c'erano solo i nativi americani, il vero popolo originario di là sono loro. Ma Omaha esiste solo dal 1850. Quindi prima di quella data
da chi è stata fondata Omaha?
And do you know who founded Omaha?
Several people. It wasn't a single person.
Un gruppo di persone, non fu una sola singola.
The people who got here
da dove provenivano
carved up all the good land and made the rules, but it was a number of people.
And you don't know
not Italians. No, probably not Italian.
Which kind of a community from where they came from, which kind of nationality they were at the beginning?
They were not new immigrants for the most part. They were people who were well established, who were running the railways and the ranch and the cattle.
Erano persone, Silvana, che non erano emigrate là da poco, erano nate lì, figli di americani già che dopo magari 200-300 anni erano già stati lì in America e poi sono entrati nel business di queste ferrovie e si sono fermati a Omaha e infatti hanno mantenuto il nome che i nativi usavano, perché sia Omaha che Nebraska sono parole che vengono dalla lingua degli indios di America, non è una parola inglese sì.
E quindi la città, diciamo, che esisteva già perché era la città dei nativi americani.
Sicuramente c'era una comunità certo di indios lì. I'm wondering, maybe there were already the natives over there, because Omaha, it's Indios word.
Okay. Can I maybe I can explain this. The historically, there was the Kansas-Nebraska Act that occurred in 1854, I think, and that opened up the territory of Nebraska. Iowa was already a state. And in 1846, Nebraska, with the opening of the Nebraska Territory, which covered everything from the Missouri River to the Rocky Mountains, essentially.
Okay.
And that was the whole territory. And on July 4th, as the story goes, July 4th, 1854, a group of guys came from Council Bluffs, went across the river and had a picnic. And that's when they decided to establish Omaha where it is located. So,
Eleanor,
Dice
Eleanor,
che questo-
you are correct. It was first inhabited by indigenous people. So the Omaha tribe of Nebraska were here first. The Otos were here, and a few other small
yeah,
tribes. It was Indian
Yeah.
territory before the white settlers came.
right.
usually the etymology.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
and
I'm
then-
going to corral everybody at this point and give Martha
Nick,
back
you
to
opened the encyclopedia.
give Martha
I will
back
just
the
say,
floor.
there's a
Perché
couple of
Silvana
good,
si è aperta un contenzioso perché
if you want to read
Nick
the
sostiene
early,
che il territorio del Nebraska già esisteva e andava dal fiume fino alle montagne rocciose. A un certo punto qualcuno decise di attraversare questo fiume e di fare un picnic e lì si stabilirono fondando quella che oggi attualmente è Omaha. A un certo punto Nick ha detto adesso dico io come sono andate le cose. Go Nick, we listen to you.
Okay, so Martha, we kind of got distracted when I got to city directories. You also mentioned clipping files in the Nebraska reference collection, including topics related to Italians of Omaha. Eleonora asked about, Omaha history, and you mentioned a title called The History Lover's Guide to Omaha, and
Right.
also Wicked Omaha by Ryan Roenfeld. I'm not sure if I got the spelling right on that, but I'm sure if we
Yeah.
Google Ryan Rowan or Wicked Omaha, that will come
Yeah.
up.
I will also mention that if you're interested in reading about those early times in Omaha, there's a couple of good historically written book by Alfred Sorensen, for example, that you can find on archive.org or probably Google Books as well. One is The Story of Omaha, and there's some others as well.
Ok, thank you.
He was writing in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and so he was still fairly close to those incidents. And it gives you a good flavor of what it was like.
Ok,
Storia of Omaha.
Martha, what's
Sì.
your ethnic
ti ho
background?
detto andate a leggere questi libri e proprio fuori un po' dall'argomento, sarebbe un lungo capitolo. Ok, thank you.
Martha, what's your ethnic background?
What's my ethnic background?
Yes.
Well, I'll have to confess, I have no Italian ancestry, to my knowledge. It's Scottish, English, German brick wall, and Irish. And
I'm sure that one drop somewhere is there.
probably, well, once you're in Europe, people moved around a little. I keep in DNA, I keep getting like Norwegian coming up somehow, which I assume must be Vikings, but
Yeah.
Ho trovato su Wikipedia qualcosa.
Silvana found the book on Wikipedia. Nel frattempo Dean ha chiesto a Martha che tipo di DNA lei ha, che tipo di origini ha, e Martha ha detto sfortunatamente non ho nessun sangue italiano, sono norvegese, scozzese, irlandese, quindi comunque vichinghi, i vichinghi scorrono nel mio sangue, ha detto. Ok.
okay, so
Eppure una goccia ci sarà, gli ho detto io.
just to mention what Nick was showing, that was pretty typical. That was the 1915 directory. And if you notice, it shows the occupation of the person, which can be great for your ancestors. It has their address, often has who they worked for. He showed somebody, I think, who was a helper for the Union Pacific Railroad.
Oh yeah, you're
That would
right.
be your-
We were talking about that.
Those would give you your clues of what industry you should be looking at. Unfortunately, Union Pacific is not very, they don't have records of workers. You can find information about people who were high up in the administration, but not people who just worked on the railroad usually.
Ma il primo carlentinese in assoluto, chi sa chi era?
Il
Primo che è
primo.
arrivato ad Omaha, il primo carlentinese.
Il primo magari rispondo male dicendo uno dei Salerno, ma non fu.
So I put in the chat that the person I was looking at was Alfio Maddalena. Since we have Sam joining us for the first time, I wanted to give him a tidbit he could chew on. That was the 1915 Omaha City Directory it's on page 278.
Thank you, Nick.
Yeah. So let's see, where were we? So that's Nebraska reference. We have the clue file there as mentioned, and we've also got a card file that we use to find information. Librarians of the past maintained it, and I still add things to it, but it does, it's an index of just all sorts of stuff, people, events, items that are in some of our books or periodicals, because we have a very large collection of Nebraska periodicals. So the Omaha Chamber of Commerce, that used to be called the Commercial Club, they had articles about all sorts of things. The university publications, all sorts of things going way, way back. The Sunday School Teacher periodical, pretty cool stuff. And we do have a sort of a card index to those things. So often if you come in and ask for information about something, one of the first things we do is look in our card index to see, do we have a file on it? Do we have, is it mentioned in a book? Is there a photo of that person in one of our books? So
when you mention those like newspapers, magazines, or booklet, what's the correct word that you were using? Can you repeat it again?
Periodicals.
Periodicals is like a lot of newspapers all together.
Yeah, or magazines.
Periodicals is an inclusive term.
In general, magazines and newspapers, and everything.
Journals. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So all the press in general. Okay, I see.
Right. So we also have a big collection of newspapers on microfilm. Omaha World Herald, obviously, which we've got from the beginning up to current. We still pay to have that microfilm. The Omaha Bee, a lot of smaller newspapers. In fact, I brought a list of them.
Quindi Silvana sta facendo la lista, sta dicendo che in questa libreria ci sono anche un sacco di periodici che includono riviste, giornali, articoli, tutto quello che è stato pubblicato. Quindi la prima cosa, il primo approccio importante che si ha quando si arriva là per fare le ricerche genealogiche è, dando nome e cognome, se vengono fuori degli articoli si può risalire anche ai visi, ai volti di queste persone, perché spesso i periodici, questi articoli, giustamente la stampa metteva foto, ma dall'inizio li hanno collezionati, dice Marta.
Okay.
Noi non ce l'abbiamo.
As far as in Italian,
no, è una cosa proprio incredibile. This is something that we never do here in Sicily. I mean, we don't have at all a collection of periodical, of newspaper.
Not, how about
if you look for
one of our when we were going to college, one of our standard references was what was it called, the Periodical Guide to Literature?
Yep, and we still have that.
It's like being an archivist, so you are able to find them. Loro facevano proprio anche al college questa materia che si chiamava tipo archivistica, che studiavano questo libro che si chiamava proprio il libro dei periodici, e che dovevano saper usare.
People use those a lot. And then we now also have the Omaha World Herald has been digitized, so we've got a digital archive that anybody can access from home with a library card.
Ok, quindi ce l'hanno anche in versione digitale questo archivio ormai.
We also have the Omaha Star, which is an Omaha paper, and we still get it as well. And then the Catholic Voice has been digitized, and that would be a good thing to look at. That is free. We have a link on our website but it was actually digitized by the Archdiocese. So anybody can access that. It starts with the True Voice, which was what the paper was originally called. That goes back to the early 1900s. And then it became the Catholic Voice. And you may find a lot of your ancestors there if they were Catholics. And they usually have good obituaries because they're bigger, longer.
Okay.
So newspapers are a really great resource. You might want to also look into the Omaha Bee has been digitized by the up to, I think, 1926 or so, 1927, by UNL, the University of Nebraska in Lincoln. And you can access that through Chronicling America. If any of you haven't explored that, you should. It's a free project sponsored by the federal government. And they give grants to different states to digitize their local papers. And so there are a ton of papers on there, and there's quite a few for Nebraska. The one
That's interesting. Quindi Silvana dice Martha che periodicamente lo Stato danno dei fondi alle città per digitalizzare tutti i giornali, per rendere questi archivi digitali importante.
Loro hanno tutte le foto, ma si può dire che in Italia, nel sud Italia, le foto hanno cominciato a scattare quando gli immigrati andarono in America, perché prima le tombe erano addirittura senza foto, mentre poi siccome c'era questa necessità di farsi vedere dai parenti emigrati, allora le famiglie si facevano le foto e le mandavano. Quindi se qualcosa abbiamo parte da quel periodo sicuramente.
Okay, so Silvana, she's saying, for example, in the southern part of Italy, pictures were uncommon, rare, very expensive. So actually we can talk about the first need of taking pictures when we started having relatives in the New World. So they used to send us their pictures, and we used to take pictures to send them our faces, let's say. But before that, even graves, they had no pictures.
Right.
So after the immigrants started sending their pictures, then the Sicilians started sending their pictures back?
Yeah, because they weren't able to write. So the only way they had was to share their family pictures. And then somebody else used to write behind the names and maybe greetings from Sicily, just simple things, simple messages. And that's the first time that we can really talk about pictures transformed into postcards sometimes. See, I think we have to wait for the end of the 19th century for that here. And just the richest family could do that.
Right.
So, okay, Martha, so pretend that I just walked into your genealogy room and that I'm interested in my Italian ancestry related to Omaha. You already mentioned part of this, but tell me what you would do, kind of the process that you would go through with that person.
Well, first of all, because people come in and tell me so much about their ancestors, I usually say, let's narrow it down to what question would you like to answer today? But I usually do encourage people to perhaps start with the city directory. It depends where they are too and how much they know. Another thing we have is we have birth and death registers for a limited period of time, beginning in 1876 and till 1915. Until 1904, there was no requirement to register a death or a birth. So people didn't do it very much, but surprisingly, a number of people did. So we do have those records. We're working on making an index to them so that you don't have to scroll through
So that is specific to Omaha?
That's just, yes, Omaha and Douglas County and South Omaha. Because South Omaha was a separate city until 1915. And a lot of the Italian community lived in South Omaha was where all the workers for the railroad and for the
used to live.
And for the cattle industry and so on, where the packing houses, they tended to live in South Omaha. So I like to help them sort of build a picture of where the people lived, what they did. Once we know some more things about them, then we can look and see if we have some specific information about where they worked or the neighborhood that they lived in. And those, if they're Italian, then I would definitely pull out these books that I mentioned because they have a lot of detail about the Italian communities. And then another thing is we are a Family Search affiliate. So those films, or rather the digital images, that there's a number of them for Italy and for, I think, Corlentini, you can't see from home, but if you come into the library, you can see them. And we also have a pretty big collection, thanks to Dean, of of records on microfilm, because Dean, or back when you could order microfilm to a family history center, he ordered a ton of those microfilms. And when that program stopped, we got to keep them. So we do have a lot of microfilm. We have them for other places as well, just whatever we had happened to have. And then speaking of microfilm, we also have marriage licenses. So that's another thing that I would suggest if the people lived in Omaha. You can get quite a bit of information from marriage licenses, and we have those on microfilm. And there is an index. There's an index on microfilm up to 1932, but the Genealogy Society over years has been working on indexing all of them, everything that we have. It's not finished, but that is on their website, on the Genealogy Society website.
Also have cemetery records for Omaha.
Sorry?
They also have cemetery records for Omaha.
That's right. We've got microfilm of several of the cemeteries, including St. Mary's, St. Mary Magdalene, and the Holy Sepulchre, Prospect Hill, Laurel Hill, Calvary. We have burial cards. So that's also on microfilm, and those can be a good source of information. The Archdiocese can also usually help you out with cemetery records, especially if you're not sure which Catholic cemetery they might be in. And then we have some church records on microfilm. They're mostly Presbyterian and Episcopal. I don't think we've got Catholic, really.
Presbiteriani e episcopali, ok. Silvana, ci sei più o meno? I'm asking if Silvana understood. No? Allora Nick ha detto se io entro nella stanza di genealogia della libreria di Omaha e chiedo delle mie origini italiane, tu da dove parti ad aiutarmi? E lei ha detto immediatamente dai directory, quindi vedere questi registri e soprattutto vedere quante informazioni hai e se si trovano già nomi, cognomi, dove lavoravano, dove erano, in che parte di Omaha abitavano. Di solito abitavano nella parte meridionale, sud di Omaha, chi aveva origini italiane. E poi ci sono tutta un'altra serie di registri per quanto riguarda appunto gli atti di nascita, gli atti di morte, e man mano Nick li ha elencati, ci sono le date fino al 1915, quelli sono registri importanti, e poi anche atti di matrimonio, licenze di matrimonio. Quello è un altro approccio importante perché da lì si possono vedere anche i nomi dei genitori, e in tutta questa registrazione, soprattutto perché sono stati digitalizzati e quindi adesso sono microfilm, quindi si possono vedere anche comodamente da casa, chi ha la scheda, chi ha l'abbonamento, devi essere tesserato alla library per accedere a queste cose, e in particolare Dean ha dato un grandissimo aiuto ad aggiungere informazioni, perché lui ha tantissimi alberi genealogici già pronti e li ha aiutati tantissimo. E poi ha detto che per quanto riguarda i registri della Chiesa ce ne sono anche alcuni, però sono più che altro registri della Chiesa episcopali, ma non cattolici, non ci sono registri di Chiesa cattolici, e quindi per quello è più difficile. Ok.
Okay, so Martha, anything else that you want to impart to us? I want to respect your time. I don't think we should keep you too much longer.
Oh, we're fine. I thought, what if it's okay to share my screen, I'll just show you the genealogy section on our website.
Please.
Ok, quindi adesso lei sta condividendo il suo screen, il suo schermo, per condividere con noi la sezione di genealogia del sito.
I think my mouse battery is running out. Let's see.
Ho visto che bella collezione di timbri antichi che ha.
Okay.
Non l'ho visto. Silvana
anche la macchina da scrivere antica.
She recognized you have beautiful collection of all the stamps behind you.
Oh.
And an old machine to write.
The typewriter, yes.
See.
Yep. Okay, so when you're on our website, if you start at Explore, one of our, well, there's two things. We do have a digital collection, which is historical images and documents.
Ok, quando iniziamo a cercare nel sito ci sono due sezioni importanti. Una, la collezione digitale, dove ci sono tutta questa serie di documenti.
Yeah. Let's see. There we go. So we've got photographs and so on. These photographs of old Omaha and various things. We've got a menu collection that's kind of cool, and you may know that Cassio's and Caniglia, and there were a lot of Italians who really ran the restaurant industry. So that's something you can find here. And one thing I would really note here is we've got a great map collection.
Che bello!
Yes, so
la collezione delle mappe è bellissima.
Right, so I would especially, let's see.
How can we become members of the library? Can we, even if we're not Americans?
Yes, you can, but this you can, I mean, this is free. You don't need to be a member to use this.
Ok, questo è un sito libero, non dobbiamo essere dei membri per vedere tutto questo, quindi si possono vedere le mappe, tutti i vecchi giornali, questo è libero.
So we've got one of the earliest maps of Omaha City when it was still in territory is this. So these maps will let you see where, once you use the city directory and know about where somebody lived, you can try and find them on these maps.
Quindi quando in passato si cercava di capire dove vivevano, si partiva da questa mappa, che è la mappa prima più antica di Omaha.
So that's one thing.
Hai visto, sono tutti blocchi uguali.
Sì.
Le case sono fatte tutte in blocchi uguali.
We have maps from all different years. So from
e poi ci sono le mappe di tutti i diversi anni.
Anymore. And all of those you can use without, you don't need a library card.
Okay, nice. Oh, that's beautiful.
There. And then let's go to, so you can sort of explore this. It talks about our yearbooks, I forgot to say we've got a ton of yearbooks from schools, high schools in particular, but also junior high, a few elementary schools. And
quello lì dove sta cliccando adesso parla di tutte le scuole elementari, scuole medie, scuole superiori.
So if you look down here, it kind of gives you overviews of the various collections. And
poi ci sono varie collezioni, altre
So we have this, sometimes people donate their research to us, or they give us a sort of a book that's not really a book. It's like a binder, and it's maybe not very organized. Sometimes, a lot of times, like we try to catalog these things and put them in our collection, but sometimes if it's not organized enough and it doesn't have any sources and it doesn't have photographs and it's not as valuable an item, we don't want to throw it away. So we have a surname file, just where we put things in a file, and we've indexed it so you can look and see if you find your surname, and it'll tell you what we have, like Spiral Bound Genealogy by Margaret Gagliardi, for example. And it kind of tells you what it is and where the main places that the family was from and other related families. And if you see it, somebody you're interested in here, you can either come in and look at it or contact us and we can make copies for you.
Ok, poi per esempio c'è una sezione in cui vengono donati, che ne so, tutti questi molti articoli e pezzi di giornale, di riviste, eccetera, che però non hanno immagini e allora non sanno bene come catalogarle. Allora c'è una sezione specifica che viene sistemata a seconda del cognome, e quindi in quella maniera possono fare la ricerca. Quindi anche se non ci sono delle immagini, non sono degli articoli molto preziosi, tra virgolette, però non vengono buttati, vengono lo stesso catalogati per nome.
We also have the Masonic files of the Scottish Rite Masons. That's a huge collection. It's their application forms. There's everything in there. Sometimes there's photographs. There's information about their deaths, what they paid for dues, all sorts of their progress through the system of Masons. You know, you went from one level to another as you progressed in the organization. So those are, and we do have an index to those, a printed index. Let's go to genealogy. This gives us, so we've got the digital, the World Herald Digital Archive, the Omaha Star. Oh, we've also got My Heritage. If you have a library card, you can access My Heritage through the library site from home. Same with Ancestry right now. Ancestry usually makes you come into the library to use it, but because of the pandemic, they've been letting us provide access at home. And so far, that's going to be the case till the end of this year. And afterwards, I don't know, I hope that. And here, I want to show you this because I love this database. It's fire insurance maps. So if you're interested in researching the place that your ancestor lived, you can look for it in these Sanborn fire insurance maps. We have them for Iowa and Nebraska. You can put any address in. I'll just put the library address in. And it'll show you the atlases that address appears in, and you see it goes back to, here's 1887. If I go to here, I see that I want to look for sheet 16. Going to do that really quick.
And those are addresses organized according to the insurance?
Well, insurance companies would make these maps because to help, or rather, these map companies would make these maps to help insurance companies figure out how much insurance they should be charging companies or private individuals, because obviously if you live in a place that's built out of wood and there's no source of water nearby and you're right next to a steam laundry or something, there's a greater risk of your building burning up than if not. So that's what the maps were for, but they're amazingly helpful to see exactly, as you can see, the beautiful
It's
map.
the same as we do in Italy. They double check with drones to give us tickets, to double check if the planimetry of the documents that we present corrispond to the reality. So at the time they do that. Quindi queste sono mappe che all'epoca provvedevano a fare, e che venivano fondamentalmente sovvenzionate dalle compagnie di assicurazione per fare pagare le tasse, perché tramite queste mappe si rendevano conto se la casa era grande, se era piccola, se c'era il giardino, se c'era l'acqua, se c'erano servizi vicino, e a seconda dei vari parametri pagavano più tasse. Quindi era importante avere uno specchietto preciso di come era organizzata la città, così potevano spinnare bene la gente precisi con le tasse.
Vabbè, ma anche
Ok.
adesso noi paghiamo la spazzatura.
Infatti gli ho detto, noi facciamo la stessa
Mentre
cosa con i droni che,
Mm.
che fanno combaciare i progetti che noi presentiamo al catasto con le visure aeree, e non ci possiamo più nascondere se quello che chiamiamo è vero. But
Yeah.
those are entirely, all of them, they're made by hand.
Yes, they're made by hand. They would make the map and then they'd come around every couple of years and they would, if they needed to revise it, they would just stick these little pieces of paper on to cover up what used to be there. And
Ah,
to
I
do
see.
stuff on. And you
Vedi
can
che ci
see
sono tutti i puntini tratteggiati.
they had codes, everything, all the little markings and so on had a meaning. There's like a key over here. But
Ok.
to say, was it
Silvana, vedi che ci
stories,
sono
one story, was it made out of, depending on the color, was it made out of brick, was it made out of wood? Was
Ah,
it a dwelling?
allora,
Was it a
vedi che ci
store?
sono le parti tratteggiate?
So
Loro
you had-
periodicamente, annualmente, rifacevano di nuovo il giro. Se per caso qualcosa era cambiato, loro tagliavano il punto, infatti era tratteggiato, rifacevano quel punto e glielo riappiccicavano. Cambiano i colori, il blu, scusami, il viola, il giallo, il verde, a seconda del materiale della casa. E c'era la leggenda, quindi che ne so, c'erano case in mattoni, in legno, cambiava il valore e quindi le tasse.
So
So
here,
Martha, the thing
Yeah.
I was most impressed with was when you were showing the library location. I don't know if you may go back to the library location.
yes, actually, that
Yeah.
is where the library used to be.
Right.
They built an actual building for the library on Harney Street, and where we are right now is actually here.
Well, if you could go back to the old location for just a second. The most impressive thing to me was the ironclad privy.
What's the ironclad clue? What did you say?
Privy is a word, a polite word, I guess, for a toilet.
Yeah, there it is. Yep.
Ah, okay.
Well,
So
you
I
know
have
you
no
wouldn't
idea what a
burn down.
ironclad privy is,
You
but-
wouldn't burn down while you were in there.
the bathroom was outside in the street.
Yes.
Well, it was on this, in this case. it
Ah,
was on
Nick
the
hanno
street.
dato, giusto, c'è da cascare l'occhio, lo vedi quel puntino giallo piccolino? Silvana?
My biggest memory was the glass floor.
Quel
Yeah, that
piccolo
was
puntino
in the
giallo è
building.
il bagno.
Yeah, that was the building on Harney Street.
Ah, dove
So
c'è
that
scritto
was later.
private?
That was after
Questo?
1998.
Ed era il bagno della libreria, dove oggi c'è
Yeah.
questa grande libreria.
E là,
E
per esempio, qua c'è
giusto c'è
scritto
da
Sky.
cascare l'occhio che c'era il gabinetto fuori,
I think
nella
that was
strada.
I think that
E
was
qua per esempio c'è scritto skylight, significa
I
luce
think
dal
that
cielo, cioè significa che c'è un poco luce.
I think that was a public restroom, not necessarily the library one, but
Ah, era un bagno pubblico.
So these maps, it looks like these maps, you can export them
yes,
and actually do an overlay into like Google Earth.
yes, you can. You can do all kinds of things. You can download them as a PDF. You can annotate them. You can draw on them. There's a lot of things you can do, and it's a pretty easy. It's very easy to use too.
So, does
they have-
anybody know the address for the church where the festival was held this year?
This was down on 9th and Howard Street.
9th and Howard?
Okay, you can also put in.
So you can put the coordinates.
Yeah, we're just a couple blocks north of there.
Okay, so yeah, if you can make that window, can you make that window a little bigger?
Yes, I should be able to. Oop.
You can go full
Mhm.
screen.
Yeah, I don't know why it's, oh, here.
Up in the upper right, there's a full screen button.
Upper right. Oh, I see it right under clear the marker.
Yeah, there we go. And it also overlays it on this, so you can sort of see where it is. I'm not sure, are we in the right place?
That is Google Earth.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, so you can see exactly where it is. And yeah, so you can do it. Now, there are places that just aren't covered by the insurance maps, especially if it was just a residential area with nothing that insurance people were worried about. They wouldn't be anything like, you see these, only the colored spaces have maps to them. So here, if you're looking for an address there, you're out of luck. But you can still
Go
find
down
out
to 19. Can you open up 19?
19. Yes.
Dice che la mappa
what
anticamente
we
veniva
do is,
fatta solo nelle
depending-
zone
So
che
depending
contavano.
what year do you want to look at?
Right.
Let's look at 1918.
1918.
So now 1918 is going to be not an insurance map, but a real estate atlas.
Oh,
So that's a little different. It's also
okay.
a little, oops, I forgot to look at the.
Ma c'è un fiume che attraversa Omaha?
Sì, certo.
One.
Come si chiama il fiume Omaha?
È il Mississippi? Is
Um,
the Mississippi or the Missouri that goes
Missouri.
inside?
Missouri.
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 Il Missouri. Quindi ha proprio tutto il fiume
So,
che scorre in
here-
mezzo. Bellissimo.
St. Philomena's Catholic School. So here you see it doesn't show quite as much detail as the insurance maps do. It still shows some of the businesses around, especially the ones that would be recognizable, the Kimball Laundry Company.
Poi ci
and
sono
it-
tutti
and
i
it's got
business.
Got the addresses, and the colors also, I believe, signify whether they're wood or brick or whatever.
All the places, they had a huge back house.
So that's 1760. Well, St. Philomena School looks like it's farther west than the church.
So this is
'Cause that's 15th Street, and if you go farther east to the right,
Hotel Rome.
Oh, we need to get on another page.
yeah. Sorry.
Oh, that's
so
okay.
St. Philomena.
YMCA cos'è? È un altro hotel, penso, no?
Is that the same as the?
YMCA.
Hai visto? YMCA.
No.
È un hotel.
What's YMCA? An hotel?
It's the Young Man's Christian Association, and it's often had a hotel. They're all over the country. They would have a
Young
hotel.
Men
Nowadays,
Christian Association, è tipo il
Oh,
club dei
yeah,
i
yeah.
giovani della cosa cristiana, come si chiamavano?
Ah, Comunione di Liberazione.
Tipo
Oh.
Gioventù Cristiana, quella per
sì,
i
sì,
maschi
sì.
però.
Oh,
Dai, come nell'offertorio? No.
It's fun to stay at the
Come si
Y.
chiama dove andavano a giocare i bambini da piccoli?
Oratorio.
All'oratorio, ecco, una cosa del genere, tipo l'oratorio per i maschi.
Up above the 173 in the upper right is
Yeah.
Skinner Macaroni.
Right, yeah.
That's where a lot of people work there.
That's where my grandfather, when he came over, that was his first job was at Skinner Macaroni.
Oh, well, and that building is still there.
Really?
It has Skinner's Macaroni on it because they carved it into the building. It's a beautiful building, but it's
Really?
now apartments.
Hmm.
Oh.
But you cannot access this unless you have a library card.
You do need a library card for
Right.
this.
'Cause I just tried.
Yeah, you can purchase one, a remote access. But
Really?
if you live in Douglas County, a card is free. But if you
Yeah.
live elsewhere, you can purchase either for a year, it's $75 for 4 months, it's $25, and you can also purchase a 1-month subscription for $6.25. I think.
Okay, great. Good to know.
Yeah, so if you just want to get on and harvest
Right.
some stuff,
I
I
have a
would do
question.
a month. Yeah.
Are the numbers 4 to 20 like numbers of neighborhoods?
No, this is just like to show you what sheet of the map you're gonna look at. It's just the numbers.
Okay, the
relating
number
to
of the
outline.
section of the map. I see.
Yeah. So
Okay.
if we were here, for example.
Anche in Italia si chiamano particelle queste qua.
try that
Sì,
one.
le particelle, infatti pensavo
The
fossero
eight
numeri.
means we'll look when we go in there. We'll look at sheet number 8.
Hey,
Yeah.
Martha,
Yeah.
with Carlentini now being an official sister city, do they get a same benefit as maybe a Douglas County resident?
I don't think.
Oh, I like that.
You could ask the mayor about
What
that.
a question. Wow.
That would
Looking
be
out for
great.
you,
Ora
Eleanor.
che ora che Carlentini e Omaha sono diventate
That's
città
a great
gemelle,
idea.
dice, possiamo fare una cosa tipo con Carlentini anche di ottenere dei fondi per avere anche là per loro tutta questa cosa che abbiamo noi.
Okay, so I have a few business items I need to discuss with the group.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask that we move on to that topic, if you don't mind.
When we go out of topic, Nick goes back to the right direction. Otherwise, we won't arrive in our harbor.
Eleonora, ti volevo chiedere una cosa.
Anyway, I
Loro
suggest
hanno-
going on our
hanno-
website is free. So go ahead and look.
Right.
We have a lot of free resources on there that you don't need a card for. So I would
Okay,
encourage
Okay,
you
I
to
will.
just
I
go
will.
and
Thank you.
explore.
I think Silvana was asking something. Cos'è che volevi
Sì.
chiedere, Silvana?
Devo chiedere che da quando io ho conosciuto Omaha, diciamo, dal gennaio di quest'anno, mi sono accorta che loro ci tengono tantissimo alla ricerca delle radici, perché è come se loro, non lo so, devono conservare questi ricordi.
Ma
Mentre
sono in
per noi-
generale tutti gli americani che ci tengono.
E mi chiedevo una cosa, cosa è rimasto di quello che delle tradizioni dei nativi americani di questa parte della città, diciamo, perché in effetti c'era un insediamento indiano, anche se loro giustamente non avendo case, avevano solo tende e cose. Di loro
No.
cosa è rimasto?
È come se ti chiedessi a te cosa è rimasto della comunità ebraica che c'era prima del 1492. C'erano gli ebrei qua da noi, sto parlando di 800 anni fa. Ora io glielo chiedo, però io so che mi diranno niente perché li hanno confinati e li hanno ammazzati. So,
What's
Silvana,
going on here?
Di loro
Tell us
non è
what's going on,
rimasto
please?
Silvana,
talking
she's
about?
asking. Silvana, she's asking.
You muted yourself, Eleonora.
I'm sorry, I don't know how. Silvana, she's asking if perchance something remained about the natives, American natives, before our arrival. Is there something that still survives about their culture over there?
Oh, yeah, we have lots of information about the native peoples.
Ci sono tantissime informazioni che loro hanno riguardo ai nativi americani. Di solito hanno dedicato loro dei musei. Usually they are inside museums, isn't it?
Sarebbe interessante.
Museums,
Mhm.
books, you know, and it's an active.
Di come si sono rapportati con loro, qual è stato il loro
Eleonora?
incontro.
Mhm.
My husband's an enrolled member of the Omaha tribe in Nebraska. His mother was full-blooded native. They have a reservation about 90 miles north that they were all basically put on. They're about 4,000 or more strong now. So they're still around. A lot of them have moved to the cities, but there are still a lot of them on the reservation.
So was your mother-in-law a native, an American native?
Yes, just Omaha tribe in
Sua
Nebraska.
suocera era una Indios nativa americana. Pensavo che non ci fosse più nulla e invece dice che ci sono tantissimi film e tantissimi registi che parlano di loro.
Quindi si può dire che si sono un po' integrati anche con questi nativi americani. Non li hanno
So
completamente-
those natives are still around. I mean,
Yes.
sì, sì,
So
sì.
let's all give Martha a virtual round of applause here. Thanks
you,
so much,
Martha.
Thank you, Martha.
Grazie Marta.
It was great to
So-
see you all and to meet the ones I haven't met before. So local people, I expect to see you at the library. And non-local, feel free to share my, I'll put it in the chat. You can always email me.
Silvana ci aspetta alla libreria, ha detto. Me and Silvana, we are coming. First flight straight
Great.
to Omaha.
That would be
online
great.
lo possiamo fare.
So feel free to
grazie,
email me. I'll be
Marta.
happy to answer questions or do fast lookups or help you with your research.
Devi dire a Marta
Grazie.
che ha gli occhi come mia mamma, evidentemente avranno quelle coordinate in comune.
Oh,
Silvana
Gli occhi a
says,
mandorla
And I'll put a
But-
list of some of
del
the,
nord Europa. Mia mamma è così.
I'll put a list together of some of the resources I talked about and I'll send it to Nick and he can
Okay,
share.
great. I'll share it with the group.
Good to see you again, Martha.
Okay, it's great to see you.
All right, so you're welcome to stay with us, Martha, as long as you would like. But I did want to mention something that I'm sure is some of you already know about, but Sherry Kanger's mother is in the hospital. And she is in intensive care unit, right, as we speak. And I don't know if Sherry can hear what we're saying, but I would like to ask all of you to include Sherry and her mother and their entire family in your prayers, if you would, please. And I hope she knows that we're thinking about her and of course concerned about her mother. So the other
ciao, Sherry.
Ciao, Sherry. So some of the other things that are of recent interest is, of course, we had our friendship between Carlentini and Omaha established. That was September 22nd. Yeah. And so both the mayors of Carlentini and Omaha participated in a virtual signing ceremony that was held at the Durham Museum, which was a train station, I guess, in its previous life. So we had our meeting on Saturday we have a monthly meeting for your benefit, Martha. We have a monthly meeting of our group that is committed to this notion of a partnership between Carlentini and Omaha. And Eleonora and Sherry are two of the principal leaders in that effort. And we look to them for their direction, and we are so proud of them in accomplishing this really amazing thing in a short amount of time to get this agreement signed. So congratulations, Eleonora. Congratulations, Sherry. The other thing that I wanted to quickly mention is I believe hopefully all of you know by now that we have a family search wiki page for Carlentini genealogy.
Congrats. You, Dean, I mean, all of you, you are doing an amazing, incredible, unbelievable job. I'm so happy.
Well,
thank you.
So yeah, Martha, if you get any questions about Carlentini genealogy, we created a wiki page.
That's going to be a great resource.
So yeah, if you get a minute to take a look, if you just Google Carlentini genealogy, it pops right up at the top of the list. But I got a message from one of the editors at Family Search saying that we cannot list our Zoom meeting on the Family Search wiki, that somehow I need to change it so there's some oblique reference to it that points them to my blog, and then I would do something on my blog page that would give people information about this weekly meeting that we have here. So that was kind of an interesting thing. Another thing I wanted to mention while Martha is with us, is that one of our goals, or one of my goals at least, I hope everybody else will join me in this, is to have an Italians of Omaha wiki page on Family Search Wiki, and listing some of the source material. The Carlentini page has a lot of that on there because of the connection, obviously, between the immigrants from Carlentini, but really there should be a standalone page under Omaha, Nebraska, or under Douglas County, depending on how it's best organized by Family Search, that would focus on the Italians of Omaha. And it would not be just Carlentini, because I know we have a lot of other Italian ancestries amongst our group, obviously, and in the community as well. So that is one of my goals, to try to build that Italians of Omaha page. So one of the other things, I've had several requests for, helping people with various things. And Susan Finley, I wanted to acknowledge your request. Unfortunately, Meg didn't show up today, so maybe you could get with Meg. Susan sent me an email saying that she has some kind of a connection with Meg Nanfido Jones. And since she was on with us on Saturday, I invited her to come, and she did. She is registered. So she did receive the notification, but I don't see her today. So
Nick, I did send her a private message this morning explaining that we had a guest speaker and we wouldn't probably be able to go over our ancestors and that. So she said she was away and she was going to try and come back for the call today. But I think once I told her probably wasn't going to work out, she didn't hurry in that. But, I will be in touch with her and we'll work out a time. So we would appreciate it, if you could help us find that connection. She went to high school with me, and every time I mentioned her name to my dad, we're related, but I never pursued, how are we related? So I just kind of wanted to clarify and see where she's related to me. But we're working on it, so thank you.
I also wanted to acknowledge Bob Hughes once again. We mentioned it on Saturday, but thank you for conceiving of the idea of sending the cookbook to Eleonora, Bob. That was a brilliant idea, and thank you for making the purchase and getting us all organized and mailing it and everything involved there. And I know she's quite excited about it.
And yesterday, while I was organizing the papers that I will send to Omaha, where all the people over there will sign up, including the mayor, etc. So I'm sending exactly the same paper that we have used here with the same characters, so will be completely twinned. I took advantage of the shop downstairs to print everything, and I printed the cookbook that Mary Kay shared with me month ago. It's like in the list of things to do, print the book of Mary Kay, and then I did it yesterday, and Bob's book, family book, that now I have in a nice way, and I know that will be the first of a huge long collection that one day will be part of the museum as well. So a lot of beautiful activities going on.
So Martha, I don't know if you have a cookbook collection as part of the genealogy
We
collection.
do. I was just going to say, but I didn't want to interrupt. We do have quite a large, we've been actively collecting local cookbooks. We have one for the St. Francis Cabrini church. It's very common that a church group or any organization will decide to make a cookbook, and each member gives a recipe. So we've got a lot of those, and I'm always looking for more.
At some point, I think we will need a museum apart just for the recipes at this point. So
my daughter made the bread.
Oh yeah,
Eleonora.
Yes.
My daughter made the bread, the Italian
Oh.
bread in there.
Look
Wow.
at you. You're not sharing.
Not much left. It was really good. My dad said it was like his nana's.
Let us break bread together.
Bob, could you share how we could get that St. Francis Cabrini cookbook?
Just send me a request. I'll get them and I'll send them out to you. I'll go down and buy them and send them to you.
Okay.
Bob,
So
what's
finally,
what's your email again, Bob?
What's that?
What's your email
It's M. Well, yeah, I'll put it in the thing.
in the
Okay.
chat?
So I find interesting this one that is amazing that I'm studying, as I'm studying this one as well.
Wow, where'd that one come from?
That's I found it on I think a Facebook group about Sioux Americans, and then here we are. That's Bob's family.
All right.
Yeah, with the picture. And actually 2 days ago, I got this useful book about the tourism of roots. That it's something that is not common at all in Sicily, while, for example, in Germany, Scotland, and Ireland, it's a topic that is very important, and that there are a lot of services developed around the tourism of roots. That is the only one that gives the possibility to little villages such as Carlentini to become part of an itinerary, of a touristic itinerary that will never touch actually that city. So I'm studying this topic as well, because in Italy we don't talk at all about the tourism of roots, and perchance thanks to a friend of mine who comes from Calabria. She is part of the University of Calabria, and she shared with me this book that next week will be, even in English, they will make a ebook version in English. So it talks about the importance of the tourism of roots in Italy, and then it focuses on Argentina, because in Calabria a lot of people, they left to go to southern part of America. So my idea is to contact the Ministero degli Affari Esteri, that is this important organ in Italy, to ask them grant, as they share with Calabria, to obtain grant to support researches about Sicily and the United States relationships, because here we have Argentina. And then there are a lot of chapters, but I think that the most important one is the how to develop all the services that we need to create a rapport between the two cities that are in relationship. And during this conference, I had an enlightenment, an epiphany, let's say. So we are working on adding a new festival in Carlentini that will be the La Festa Italiana of Omaha. So it will be a moment when all the people from Omaha, they will be invited to be part of it in Carlentini, and we will celebrate the bonds that we have in common. And then maybe one day, little by little, in a couple of years, it will become a habit to come yearly for that festival, and maybe we will increase our connections and above all our relationships. So a lot of things are going on.
So one of the things that I also wanted to mention was in relation to Bob Hughes. One of the things that you mentioned on Saturday, Bob, was that you wanted to find out where your great-grandfather, or where your grandfather, I think you said, lived in Carlentini. Is that right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
my grandfather, Salvatore Sequenzia, and my grandmother, Constantina Adorno. So he used to walk by, she used to sit out and sew, and he'd walk by and sing to her. And then they fell in love, and you know, the rest is in the book, Martha.
I can say.
I'm gonna go read it.
So you would like to be able to localize where he resided at the time of their marriage, perhaps?
Well, they got married in Omaha, but
Oh, they got married in
but
Omaha.
where they lived, you know, and how they, then it'd give me an
Check the
idea of
birth
how they met.
Check the birth record.
Yeah,
Right?
the birth record for Salvatore Sequenzia and Conchitina Adorna should give the address of the parents.
So those would be in Carlentini?
If they were born there, yeah.
Yeah, do you know when Salvatore was born? And
I have to look on my family tree.
yeah, well,
I
when
mean,
you
I do
find
have
that, yeah, send me a note with the names and the dates, and I'll look and see what we have.
Okay.
Because depending on the dates, we may need to go to a family search affiliate library to determine exactly where they were born. But those records are accessible.
I'll do that. Thank you.
Monica, have they updated any more hours at the?
Not that I know of. I'm thinking about volunteering to work there again, just so we can open it up a couple more hours.
The Papillion one is open.
It is?
Yeah.
Are they open?
Mary said.
Are they open more than one? Omaha is open, but they're just open one night.
Oh, that's good to know. I think they're open 2 days, Papillion, but you'd want to check.
Right now, the 146th and 4th California building is Tuesday, 7 to 9, I believe.
Oh, well, that's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, Omaha Public Library is open every day. Just saying.
It's a little bit of a hike for everybody except Dean and Jim.
Yeah, that's true. I'll tell you a secret. If you come on the weekends, you can basically park free in our parking lots, because Sunday, everything's free anyway. And Saturday, any staff spots that are assigned, those people aren't there. So
it's a 7/7, isn't it?
Love it.
Right. What?
It's a 7/7. It's open every day.
It's open every day, yeah.
Quindi la biblioteca di Omaha è aperta ogni giorno. Ok.
So the other request I had was from Jim Beckman, and I kind of promised him that we would actually talk about this. And so, Jim, can you kind of summarize what you've been up to lately as far as your transcription efforts?
Well, when you went on vacation, I didn't. I went down to the library.
Jim ha detto, mentre eri in vacanza io non lo sono stato e ho lavorato.
I can vouch for him.
Yeah, well, thank you, Martha. Well, I've been down to the library, went down there for a couple of days and transcribed off, or actually copied off of the family search site, tons of indexes from the early part, 1820s and 1830s, and for the births. And I got some marriage ones that were from the 1840s. And I've been putting those in my tree surface here. And boy, it's like putting puzzle pieces together. You know, whole families come together, you know, with the parents. And here with the help from my friend Nick, he sent me some stuff months ago that I didn't know what to do with quite at the time, because they were like death records. But now that I've got stuff inside that is, you know, those puzzle pieces are coming together too, because you find out that one guy was named, like Lucia, and she passed away, and the next year they named another Lucia, and they got married, and they're the ones that are out, that we see in our lives, So that's what I've been doing. And there are, I think a lot of you have access to my tree. And you can, if you go, Nick, can you bring up Fab Ancestry? And we can do a quick search here so you can actually see the stuff that I've been working on.
So Martha, for your benefit, Jim has a family tree on Ancestry. This is the one I'm working on. It's called Italians of Omaha, Carlentini, and Lentini. And but on my quick links, I've created a quick link to get into Jim Beckman's tree because I use it so much. I'm not sure if I can see, I can't see properties. We need Jim to actually share that, but there's what, 27,000 was the last number I think.
Oh, okay, overall there's 42,700 now.
Wow.
And there are tons of duplicates in there that, here this past week or two, a lot of those duplicates, some of those duplicates went away, and because of, the puzzle pieces are fitting together.
So what name would you like me to look at?
No. I'm going to show you how you do a search. Go into the search field that you were in originally.
Okay.
From the top.
Okay.
No, from the top bar, up by trees.
Oh, here.
Yes. Do all collections.
Okay.
And then let's see, how do we do this? Scroll down. Uncheck everything except family trees. And then scroll back up. And then put in, open up birth. Type in 1820 and Carlentini and make those exact places. And give it a go.
Very nice, Jim. Very nice.
Wow.
So these are in alphabetical order too. There's 160.
Yeah, I was absolutely amazed. And there are, my records typically have the date of birth, and that's why we're looking at them here. And then the other ones, you scrolled by one there that was not in my tree, but you get everybody who said they were born in 1820.
So why is this person not a member of our group? You need to.
I have no idea. They only got 3,200. Yeah, there you go. 42,760 something.
Oh yeah.
And of those, there are over 17,000 people that I have that were born in Carlentini. Birth records. So let's see, how do we do this? So you can actually click on any one of those and, and do your normal research on those. And for these particular ones, unfortunately, you have to go down and visit Martha to actually view these records at the library, because these came off of Family Search.
Okay, so you're not uploading the images to your tree?
No, not yet. Nope. These a lot of these. Okay, so for here, these actually came off of the real ATTID, not MA. Yeah, those came off of those. So if you go back to the search again and put in like 1920 or 1827.
Okay, still got
same thing, birth.
And you said birth, and then you said 1827. Oops.
The other 1827.
Valentini.
And exact.
Okay.
And you can see up above there are roughly 157 births, you know, approximately, because if there's a mix of other folks' trees in there.
Well, here's Coach Cortese.
So
mostly
if you want to click.
Yeah. Oh, here's somebody named Chimino. I wonder who that is.
I know. He gets his stuff in there too occasionally. But if you want to click on one of those, I'll show you what the difference is between what I've been doing here recently. One of mine, Vazencia is fine.
We did an exact search on 1827, but then there's this stray 1820.
Well, you must have had something in there that said 1827. Huh. So go up to the one above there, Carpagno.
Chuck Sebastiano Canellia, 1837.
And you see on these records here, I put in some documentation here that these came off of the index.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
they don't have complete information in them. They came off of the index.
Right.
So and then if you see there too, if they have a spouse, I say need to validate the marriage, which if you were to scroll down to where, I don't know if there's even a marriage in here. Take a look. Yeah, we're going to have to, that's where you go back. And this is where the puzzles are starting to fit in, is because with the birth records, you got the parents' names. The marriage records, you get the parents' names. And that's why I say you need to validate this against the marriage, so you can get the right kid with the right parents. And I think I made a comment that I tried to make some guesses early on, and I made some very poor guesses as far as names, because they're, you know, we all know Italians love naming their kids over and over again. So, so you end up. So I ended up with, you know, people that had the wrong parents. Okay, you know, I got the marriage record and they had the wrong parents, or I found the birth records.
One way to compensate for that is to look at Allegheny marriages. Then you get the actual, you know, you got the right kid.
Yeah, and off of the, you know, and I found on the index records too. So if do another search here, and let's go to 1848. I think that's the year. We're gonna look up a marriage record from 1848. Marriage record.
Marriage.
Oh,
We
I'm
did-
sorry.
The other marriage.
The other marriage. 1848, Carlentini.
Carlentini. Exact. And like I said, so I guess you're gonna have,
Which one do you want to look at, Jim?
it does, we can start with the one at the top.
Okay,
So
so
again,
okay, so it did key in on the marriage 1848, but you didn't have
there isn't a birth record in there yet.
yeah, and a lot of times the marriages don't say the well.
How old they are, they should.
No, you have the parents.
Mhm.
But if it comes from the index, you don't have the age.
Oh,
So
from
I
the
can't,
index,
I can't,
okay.
I can't guess what,
Hmm.
how, you know, what year
noted
they
that
were
right
born.
here too. So
Gotcha.
that's good.
So you got the marriage, and occasionally, you know, if you got a couple of children, you know, you can make
Yes.
a ballpark guess on.
Salvatore Di Stefano married Sebastiana Sequenzia. She was born November 7th, 1831. Salvatore Di Stefano was born May 20th, 1823. And he was the son of Antonino Di Stefano, died January 1st, 1826. And the mother was Carmela Gulizia. She died July 21st, 1847. Antonino Salvatore Di Stefano's grandparents were Pietro Di Stefano and Grazia Turco. And then there's information for Sebastiana Sequenzia, the wife. Her parents were Stefano Sequenzia, who died March 2nd, 1839. And his mother was Lucia Nastasi. And then her grandparents
Right.
were Vincenzo Sequenzia, Filippo Fruccio, etc.
Yeah. So on these things, well, of course, you can do your research on here. You know, if you don't find, I started with 1841, but those people were before 1820. Most of them were born before 1820, so I don't have the birth records for them. So I just kind of, instead of inserting all of those names in there, you know, I just move forward in time to 1848, and there were quite a few here that, you know, I had the parents' names in here, and I was able to, you know, put the marriage record and the parents together.
That's great, Jim. So I am going to need to depart.
All right.
So if you guys want to continue, I'll just I'll be right back. But I'm not going to be able to drive the share, so I'm going to stop the share. I can share in a minute, but I'm going to break here.
I've got to leave as well. I'm due on the desk, but this was really great. Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Thank you,
Thanks.
Martha.
Thank
I
you.
got a lot
Thank
of
you,
good
Martha.
information, which will help me help other people.
Yes, definitely. And thank you for sharing your email.
Oh, thanks. I hope to hear from you.
Yes, you definitely want to steer people in our direction if they have any kind of Carlentini connection or
I would be
Italian connection in Omaha, basically. Any
Yeah.
Italian.
good to see the connection here. Instead of sort of
The
random
family's
people.
growing.
Oh, you all know each other. Okay,
Yeah.
well, see you
Well,
online or in person.
All
Goodbye.
right, thank you so much, Martha.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye now. Okay, I'll be
Okay.
back in a minute.
well, I think gosh, we lost our leader.
Yeah.
We did.
we're just gonna go into chaos now. But
Bob,
Chaos.
we're still waiting for you to put your email in the chat so we can contact
He
you.
did, he did. He put it in.
Yeah, it's in there.
Nick se n'è andato, dice adesso abbiamo perso il nostro leader e della fine, stavano lavorando sull'albero di Jim. Nick se n'è andato per
It's
un
not
attimo.
showing up in mine. I just have Martha's and then Sherry's. I met the Durham Museum curator, and that's the last two things I have.
Bob, write it again.
Okay.
Search.
Come mai se n'è andato Nick?
Come?
Come mai se n'è andato Nick?
Si è allontanato un attimo
Appunto, scusa.
perché doveva
Ma il
andare a
mio
fare
albero non l'ha finito? L'albero
No,
genealogico non l'ha
penso, se
finito.
non ci avete lavorato, penso che sia rimasto lì dov'è.
No, no.
okay, well, you didn't ask me for my input on Saturday, Eleonora, but you know, I
What,
was
Jim?
yeah, you know, you went around the board and you did the everybody gave their input on Saturday. You know,
Okay.
you were meticulously taking down notes on what everybody was saying.
Sì,
Hey, can I share something? Can I share my screen
Sure,
and show you something?
sì.
let's see if you can.
Okay. Let's see here. If I try to do this. All right, let me see. I thought I said share screen. Oh, I
Yeah.
gotta find. Let's see, share. There we go.
Mhm.
Okay,
Bravo.
now, if I bring this up, this is because Eleonora had talked about postcards, pictures and postcards.
Sì.
Okay, this is a postcard. That's my Aunt Jo, my Aunt Helen, and my Aunt Louise. And how do I get out of this now?
Technology.
And this is the back of the postcard.
Okay, so it's
And-
one postcard. There is the front and the back.
Right, and you could
Can
probably
you
read
open
that.
them?
Can you read that, Eleonora, the Italian?
No, I would like you to open
Se,
them. It's
se
too
lo
small.
allarga un po',
Yeah.
lo leggiamo, vediamo.
I'm following in my telephone and tonight,
Oh,
so I'm not
okay.
in my computer.
Okay, well, there's an English translation. It says, to our Aunt Maria Sequenzia, we are your nieces, Lucia, Giuseppa, and Ella.
Okay, and maybe Nella. Are you able to open the pictures or not?
Should be able to.
Click on it, maybe in the arrow, and then says open. Bob,
What?
can you open the picture?
Well, it's there. I don't know. It's
No,
on the,
just click on the arrow on the right.
Okay, you might do a pop-up on you.
like this. Now I'm stuck. I don't know how to get out of there.
It's fine, it's fine.
Okay.
No, non ci sto riuscendo ad aprirle. Va bene.
Okay, I'm gonna unshare my screen if I can figure this out.
Yeah, because it probably did a pop-up and you're not able to view what you had there. I think we've just figured out what Nick's issue is when he has to do the same thing. But
Where'd you get the information on that marriage record, Jim?
excuse me?
That marriage record we had up, Salvatore Di Stefano?
Oh, those were off of indexes that either I copied or Nick shared with me. you know, they were just, you know.
Because the information was off on one of them. The information was a bit off.
All right, well, just,
Did somebody contribute that?
that's, you know, if it came off the index, you know, you always take that with a grain of salt. And that's why I go back and look at the original documents.
The indexes just give the names, they don't give dates usually.
That, right.
Or if the date is on there, it might not be the actual date of birth or date of death or whatever you're looking at.
Well, I understand.
So I'm not sure.
You know, I'm just, my typos are, you know, are like everybody else's. They get happy fingers once in a while, and we kind of get, you know, a wrong date that somebody points out to me, and that's great. So, let's see. So I don't have, I do have an Italian cookie thing when Bob was talking on Saturday, and he was talking about Italian cookies, and you know, they all came from my grandmother. She was a terrific baker. My mom picked up the recipe from her, and she was a terrific baker. And what do I want to call them? Biscotti?
Yeah. Biscotti. So we have a final deal between Bob and Silvana as well. They promised everybody that they're going to make biscotti all together, and we have to eat them, obviously.
Are we?
Tu con Bob c'hai questo accordo, biscotti.
And it was great when my mom used to do the baking, because she'd make, you know, she'd do the homemade, you know, from scratch. She'd have her own flour and whatnot. And then she'd give dough to the kids that are around the table. And, you know, I've got 7 siblings. So, you know, we all had our little ball of dough that we would roll out on the table and fun stuff like that. And then, but she made, you know, essentially it ended up as a big tub. She'd get the flour and then she'd cover it up, you know, with the yeast, you know, to get it to rise. And this thing, it just grew. And this, you know, the big pan that we had at, you know, we had at the meat party in June out at Mary Kay's house. You know, she had one of those, and she just made her own dough, and then you know, put her kids, you know, gave them something to do, you know, while she was actually doing something for real.
Keeping you busy for a couple of hours.
I don't know.
Dice, quando sua mamma faceva fare biscotti, faceva apposta un sacco di impasto, perché loro erano 7 fratelli, e gli dava a ognuno di loro un pezzo, così li teneva occupati per un po', perché sennò non sapeva mai che cosa farli fare, quindi poi erano loro che facevano i biscotti. And did she bake them in the wood burning oven?
Yeah, no, we didn't have a wood burning oven, and I don't think my mom
in a regular oven.
Yeah, because I think when my mom, she has stories that she told me when she lived down on 6th Street, we would pass by this house, and she said we lived in that house and it had a wood burning stove, and that was her bedroom. And so she would, in the wintertime, she would open the window and stick her head out the window because it was so hot in the room. So.
Ho capito, forse le nascondeva in camera da letto.
Sì, e poi faceva caldissimo in quella stanza perché c'erano tutti quei biscotti bollenti.
Ma in effetti è vero, perché anche mia mamma li conservava in camera da letto, non so perché.
Even Silvana's mother used to hide those cookies, so those biscotti in the bedroom.
No. She didn't, well, Okay, she would make the cookies. Grandma would make these cookies that were maybe inch and a half long, and then there were like little cylinders. They were cylinder shaped.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she would roll them out, and then she'd cut them, and then she'd bake them that way. This is grandma.
Like we call them biscotti Regina with the sesame outside sometimes.
Yeah,
they're like
then,
cylinders. Yeah.
Yeah, and then she would put the icing.
On
She
the top.
She'd get powdered sugar out, and then she'd make some icing. And
white color.
She would. What's that?
White color.
Sometimes she would put food coloring in there, you know, for Christmas and whatever, you know. So we'd have different colors. Grandma did the same
faceva una
thing.
sorta di biscotti come i Totò, però la versione quella bianca.
Sì, vabbè, esistono ancora, biscotti Regina.
Sì, biscotti Regina con la glassa di sopra.
But here the last few years, one of my nieces has started making the cookies again.
Mm-hmm.
And she does a really good job, except she doesn't put enough, you know, the powdered sugar icing on it.
Okay, she goes like dieting.
Yeah.
Sua nipote li fa ormai bene, ha ereditato l'arte, soltanto che sì, ha ereditato la ricetta, solo che non gli mette la glassa sopra abbastanza, li fa dietetici e loro si incazzano perché ne manca la parte migliore.
So
there is the best part missing.
That's what I told her. It's like, you gotta put some more of that stuff on here.
E quindi si incazzano perché dice no, se li fai l'affare buoni.
Io in questo periodo mi sono cimentata con la mostarda di uva, che è una ricetta tradizionale che aveva mia nonna, perché più che altro è una ricetta che fanno nei paesi dell'Etna, non qui. Però siccome la mia bisnonna proveniva lì da Via Grande, quindi avevano questa ricetta. E allora, sai che è successo? Che la mia collega mi ha dato una bottiglia di succo di uva. Allora i colleghi hanno detto guardate, me la porto a casa e faccio la nottata. Cosa si fa? Prima si fa bollire con un po' di cenere di legna, perché in questo modo toglie tutta la cina e quindi poi si lascia riposare tutta la notte. La mattina mio marito, vedendo quella pentola, ma questo è il brodo del blocco, me l'ha buttato.
No. So Silvana, she's sharing her experience. Are you familiar with the mustard? Not the mustard that we put in the panini. La mostarda, we call it. That is made with queen's apple or with the juice of grapes.
Normalmente si fa con i fichi d'India, però io la faccio
or prickly pears, and we put them inside molds. And then when they are dry, they are like candies. Are you familiar with that?
La tipica mostarda.
Okay, so to make them, we need or prickly pears juice or grapes juice. And to make it, we have to boil the juice with a little bit of ash of wood, like the ash that remains in our oven when we finish cooking, because in the wood burning oven, because with the ash we keep out the acidity. So let me see if I can share in our chat something. If I can share like an image, for example. No, I think I can't. And chat, I can't, with the telephone, I can't share my screen. That's so interesting. Share content. Anyway, photos. Okay, select photos. Those are typical mostarda that we call in Italian. Can you see that?
There they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically we take the grape juice, then we let it boil with a little bit of ash of wood that remains in our wood burning oven. And then we keep it relaxed for one night. And the next day we filter and we keep cooking it. So the ash takes out the acidity. And then we cook it with corn flour, sugar, cinnamon. And it's an old dessert that in Sicily used to be made years and years. We still make it, but during the past it was the only real dessert because they are like candies. So what happened is that Silvana cooked the juice with the ash. The next day, so she put it in a little dish. The next day, her husband, he woke up, he went in the kitchen, he controlled all the pots. So he saw this pot with this broth inside. So he thought it was the liquid remained by the broccoli that they cooked the night before, and he threw it away. Finished. And when she woke up, she was like, where is my mostarda preparation? He said, which mostarda are you talking about?
Allora, Leonardo, non è finita qui, per ovviare a questo inconveniente, perché io avevo promesso ai colleghi di portare la mostarda.
But she promised to all the colleagues at school that she was bringing the mostarda because one of them gave her the grapes juice, saying, I give it to you, you make the mostarda and you bring it at school. E allora che è successo?
Allora, ho promesso ai colleghi, non vi preoccupate, adesso compro l'uva e la faccio. Allora,
So
io ho
she
comprato...
went to buy the grapes and she started from zero again.
Allora, io ho comprato 3 kg di uva e lo stesso giorno mio marito ha comprato altri 3 kg di uva.
So she bought 2 pounds of grapes, and without knowing, the husband feeling guilty, he bought 2 pounds of grapes as well. So now she has 4 pounds of grapes at home, and that's even too much.
Quindi poi ho fatto praticamente, ho dovuto fare tutta la mostarda. Alla fine mi sono venuti fuori 4 litri di brodo.
At the really end, she made 4 liters of juice. That is a lot. So she will work at least for 3 days to do all of those mostarda.
Allora, io ho fatto
because we put them in the little molds.
12 piatti di mostarda, che adesso vi faccio vedere com'è la mostarda che ho fatto io.
So she made 12 dishes like that, and then she puts on the top the little almonds. Almonds, grilled almonds, cut little pieces, and some cinnamon. What is interesting is, sì, è bellissimo. And then when it will become dry and we keep it relaxed.
No, io non la faccio seccare, ce la mangiamo così subito.
They like
perché
it,
è buona come il budino.
They like it fresh with the spoon, but during the past, our grandmothers, to keep it longer, you can eat it immediately. Otherwise, you leave it in the molds that are like this, made in ceramic. And inside there are those nice decorations. So when you make it upside down, you have all the decorations on the top. And what is interesting is that during the past, they personalized those things, and they used to write down the names, writing "Ti amo," "I love you," or sometimes they ask, "Would you marry me?" with this system. So they arrived with a cookie, like a candy, a big candy, and then on the top there was written.
Allora, quando si deve fare seccare, Eleonora, sì. Se tu la devi fare seccare, non ci devi mettere le mandorle sopra.
Yeah, if you have to let it dry, you don't put the almonds on the top, and it will be like It looks like a soap, but it's not because you can eat it. So it's like a candy. Yeah.
Certo,
You
si è
can
asciuga
bite
per
it and
conservarla per
it's
l'inverno.
solid,
certo.
it's hard.
So
Like a
the
candy.
picture that you showed us
Mhm.
off of the website, was that like iced in chocolate or what? It looked like
No,
chocolate.
that one I think was made with grape
Uva,
juice.
uva nera.
Yeah, with black grapes.
Okay. All right.
During the past, in autumn, they used to prepare them, and they made a lot, above all for Christmas, because there were no.
Però ha ragione lui, perché ci mette anche un po' di cacao.
And Silvana, she said, you're right, because we put a little bit of chocolate as well.
Yeah.
Cocoa
Cacao e poi ci
powder.
mette la farina e il cacao, la cannella.
And cinnamon. Yeah.
What's a black grape? Never heard of a black grape.
Yeah, it was a way, because during the fall, there were too many grapes, too many prickly pears, too many queen's apples. And with the queen's apple, you can make a marmalade. You can't drink it like that. You can't eat it
Nella
like that.
marmellata c'è lo zucchero, qui invece non si aggiunge lo zucchero.
Sì, ma quella di mele codogne le fai con la...
Certo. No, lì con quella si fa la marmellata, non si può fare la mostarda. Infatti la mostarda si fa con questa frutta che già è molto dolce e non ha bisogno di aggiunta di zucchero.
So we don't add any sugar because our fruits that are very, very sweet already. And with the sun...
dovrebbe fare, in teoria si dovrebbe fare con l'uva che si usa per il vino. Sai l'uva che ha i chicchi piccolissimi.
So usually we make it with the grapes that we use to make the wine because it's sweeter. Okay, guys, I don't know if Nick will come back, but I have a lot of hours. Is he
He's
here?
back. Yeah,
Okay.
he's got a visitor.
Okay, I was sharing this picture. This is the mostarda. We were talking about that.
Yeah, no, we saw that. We've been here for quite a while.
I'm sorry, I didn't see
That's
you.
all right.
What's your name?
I'm Catherine.
Hi, Catherine. I think we already knew each other.
Yes, you've met before.
Yes.
So Catherine has something to say to you in Italian. Do you remember what that was?
Buonasera a tutti.
Brava! Buonasera a tutti!
Buonasera.
Wow. Buonasera a te.
That means buonasera, means good evening to you too.
Buonasera a te, yes. Oh, look at you, che sei bella. You're beautiful.
Yeah, she actually is learning Spanish right now, but I am trying to persuade her to learn Italian. So
they are similar. Buenos dias. They're similar.
What did you say?
They're similar. Spanish will help her when it will be the right time to learn Italian. Buenos dias, buenas noches, and so on. Hola.
So did you want to say something in Spanish, Catherine? Or English? You want to tell them anything about what you've been doing?
Like how do you say in Spanish? My name is.
Mi llamo Caterina.
Muy bien, chica. Muy bien.
So Eleonora speaks Italian, French, Spanish, and English. Anything else?
And German.
A little bit of German. Okay.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, some words in Polish that are always nice when you meet a Polish person to say good morning, good afternoon, thank you. Yes.
How do you say rose? How do you say rose in Polish?
Rose?
Rose. Like the
I have never used this word. I know the greetings and yes, sir. I mean, good morning, good afternoon, good night. Yes, no. I don't speak Polish.
Okay,
You know that Dean is the Rose Man, right?
Yes, I know. He's the official
I-
rose man of the city.
My grandmother, my mother's maiden name is Rosowski, and that's Polish for roses. That's what they tell me.
Ah, name a destiny, you see? Interesting. Interesting. I learned something more. Something new. Okay, Nick, so I think it's time to say see you next week.
I think so.
Wow.
All right. So,
All right, thank you. Bye,
so
everybody.
in
Ciao,
Spanish,
Kathy.
we say hasta la vista. How do you say until we see?
compañeros.
Come on, hasta la vista.
Hasta luego. Hasta luego.
Hasta luego, hasta pronto. Hasta la vista it's something funny.
It just means until we see you.
It's like to say okie dokie. Hasta la vista. I mean, it's a funny way to say see you.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Bye,
See you
everybody.
again.
Alla prossima settimana.
Bye
Ciao a
bye.
tutti, arrivederci,
Ciao.
alla prossima.
Ciao.
Arrivederci.
Ciao
Alla
ciao.
prossima settimana.
tutti.
Ciao ciao. Ciao a
Ciao.
tutti.